a lot of rooms, a lot of conference rooms. It's a lot of spaces in transition. We thought a lot about sort of the notion of home, and then being out, not home, between home, and so, how would we shoot these spaces? And so that's, like you say, those wide angles. I think there's something kind of menacing about those rooms. Office spaces. They're so, on one hand, innocuous, but I thought we could also kind of find something else in there. But the real thing that we focused on was point of view too, and because Nicole and Charlie are in one or the other or both are in every scene, so it's always from their point of view. It's never, when they're in the mediation and talking, and Bert and Nora are talking, we're always over their shoulders. It's always over Scarlett's or Adam's shoulder. We're never shifting to the lawyer's points of view. There are people that they're meeting along the way. We kind of almost thought of it like a picaresque journey, like they start at home and then they have to go and transition to this other place. And these are the kind of amazing, strange people they meet along the way.
It's a great tragedy. Since we have this amazing cast here, I would like to bring them into the conversation.
They're fine.
I saw some hugging, so I'm sure they're fine. But you do have like pretty incredible history of American cinema on stage, because that goes from the universe of Woody Allen and Scorsese and David Lynch and Star Wars and Sofia Coppola and of course MASH, which is the American story ever. So it's kind of pretty impressive. So when you are a really great writer and you're very precise in your writing, and you write, I wouldn't say mean, but flawed character. They're subtle, but they're flawed to the point of sometimes nearly unbearable. So I'm sure it's challenging as an actor to play something like this.
I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way.
But I know it's about you, but maybe they want to mention a little bit what's attractive for them.
No, it's about them. This movie, the way they give themselves to these characters is, I find so personal. I can watch them in a way I can't watch other movies of mine. I can watch this movie because of what they're doing. I find I'm watching their movie a lot of the time and not mine.
So do they change anything just physically in the gesturing, or is it exactly what you had in mind when you're making the film, when you're
Still
writing?
Talking to me.
Well, they'll come in.
Adam once described acting as a kind of benign rebellion, and I think that's a great way to think about it, because, I'm precise. We do the lines of the script. I like to do a lot of takes, but what I'm looking for is that rebellion, is them pushing back in ways, them finding their own voice and I think it gives actors more freedom. I hope it does. And for me, it does. As a director, to have structure. All those scenes are blocked and very precisely mapped out, but there's total freedom for them within that, and you see it, you feel it in the movie.
So should we start maybe with Scarlett? Can you talk about working on this film when it's something, when you saw the script, what attracted you to that intense woman who's going through her break, and how would you create your role to come alive?
That's a lot of questions, but I guess, well, I thought I'd seen the whole script, but I didn't see the whole script because Noah was writing it when we first started seriously talking about it, and I think, maybe you already touched on this, but I think probably part of your process was writing it with us maybe in mind, because that seems very much like a, you know, when Noah and I were first talking, it was sort of my kind of commitment to it, I think, was the way that we were going to move forward together, and he would move forward writing it in that way.
They were very much a part of, I mean, I went to Adam and Scarlett and Laura too before I wrote it. And so it was our conversations, all of us, that found their way into the movie, and it also just knowing it was them, thinking of them, saying, you know, doing it. I wouldn't have written this script if I didn't have that guide.
Yeah, and so I think the first thing that I had gotten was I don't know if it may have been word for word, but maybe it was just a draft that you were working on, but it was the story, Nicole's story, you know, that she tells to Laura's character, and it was, you know, it was her story, or, you know, the way it was her story, and I think it would be, I don't know any actor that would get those sides and then just be, you know, not. Anyway, there was no question after that. After I read those sides, I was like, well, yeah, I'll see on set, I guess. But you know, it was just a very. I think that everyone went into doing this project, all the actors and everyone involved. Nobody had an ego about it. It just came from a very. I think you have to be in a safe, comfortable place where you don't feel judged by your fellow actors or your director, and you can, you know, be embarrassing and ugly and, you know, vulnerable or what you perceive to be ugly, I guess, and be able to go to all those places and that's when you discover all, you know, all the stuff that you see on the screen is when you have this kind of even playing field between all the people involved. So I just got very incredibly lucky that way to be cast with this incredible cast of actors, be working with Noah and feel like we could like there was nothing wrong. There was no where you went was a wrong place. It was just a means to get to some other thing, and that's why I think there's such a fluidity to the film scenes.
Fluidity is a perfect word for this. Maybe Adam would like to talk about his part in the film. It's the second time you worked with Noah. Fourth. It's early morning. Can you talk a little bit about working with Noah in that specific film and then interacting with Scarlett? I mean, I think if I want to make it more precise, you started with heavy scene when you didn't shoot chronologically in terms of the story. So you started with heavy emotional scene.
You mean when we shot the movie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We didn't shoot chronologically, but we shot Los Angeles in a chunk, and then we shot New York. But are you asking what scene we started with?
Yeah, and then if Adam can continue with like the interaction with Scarlett.
You're asking me what scene we started with?
Yes.
I don't remember.
When you started working, did you start with a breakup? You don't start with the love story. Is it harder to play or like just
we
going?
rehearsed also, so we all went through it. So by the time we're shooting, things had been blocked. We all sort of had gone through it. So, you know, what you have to, I find you have to do in a movie because you go out of order. But you could talk about what you're saying.
Oh yeah, it's hard for me to say which one is more emotional or less emotional because you're not thinking that. I think sometimes in movies there's a scene that scares you that you know is coming up on the schedule. You know, it's either at the end or it's too soon, or you feel like you don't really have your sense of what you're doing or what you should be wearing or how you should be walking, or just sometimes you find it before you start, sometimes you're already 2 weeks in and then you have an idea about where it is, or there's just a scene that seems unlike the others, and it's, you know, whether it be more emotionally complex or physically complex, or, you know, something that's exhausting. But for this movie, I felt every day was one of those scenes, which was a testament to good writing, that the stakes were high and everything. I'm like, oh, well, Halloween is this week? Like, I don't understand it yet. I don't think we have a good, or the breakup is now. They're getting served. That's too soon. Like we haven't. So every day it felt like a major event. So it's hard to say what, where they all felt like too soon in the schedule, when they all felt more emotional than I think even scenes that seemed pretty innocuous. Reading the text, reading just the script was. It's beautiful, but then when you really have to say say it and mean it, then it took, even scenes that I thought wouldn't be as difficult, when you have to look at it, take Eji, into consideration. You're looking at his face, who plays my son in the movie, or Alan, or Ray, or Scarlett, and then suddenly it's, obviously it takes a life that's, happening in front of you, as opposed to a document that you're imagining what it's going to be like. So they were all emotionally challenging, I guess, in that way.